What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Glosso America YouTube channel. And you know what to do. Hit like and subscribe, turn on your notifications, and let's get after it. Hi, hello, and welcome to your favorite average to good podcast. Call it what you want. I'm Jimmy Conrad alongside Tony Meola and Big Tones. We don't have resident number 9 Charlie Davies with us once again. Last show, everyone, we had Damian Downs, who came in as our number 9 to fill in for Charlie Davies, and he was fantastic. We love talking to Damian.
To bring another one in.
I think we should. If Charlie Davies is not going to be here, we're going to bring in another number 9. This one just made the move from Charlotte FC and MLS to Derby County in the championship. Had a terrific summer with the U.S. men's national team at the Gold Cup. Patrick Agyemang. Hey, Patrick.
What's up?
Listen, first and foremost, we would prefer to do this show with you than Charlie Davies. We just have to get it out there. We're just going to get ahead of it. How are you doing, Pat? You look great.
Yeah, man. I'm good. Each day is good. You know, I'm enjoying myself and everything's going well.
Okay, so you and I were talking before the show started. You're coming off a hernia surgery. I had one of those as well, and they are very painful. Where are you in that recovery? And, I guess Tones had one as well. Two. I had two.
You had two, huh?
Yeah.
I had two.
So just so everybody knows, if you can't see this, I have like a scar for life. It's like V for Vendetta right above. I guess I call it my nether region. Anyway, we don't need to get into the details so much. But Patrick, where are you on that recovery, and when can we expect to see you playing for Derby?
Yeah. So I think I'm just around 3 weeks of having the surgery. So right now it's, I'm just getting up to the loads, the running, the cutting, and getting back to just, feeling myself. It's feeling like myself. The area still feels very tight, and there's muscles around my abductors and groins that are still weak. So I'm trying to strengthen that up. But hopefully, in a month or so, definitely we'll be back. It's just, I don't know the exact timing,
Sure.
Yeah, looking forward to getting you back on the field here. With this downtime, obviously we're coming off the Gold Cup. You're about to go to preseason. You make the move. With this downtime, have you been able to at least for a minute just take a breath and go, "Holy cow, man! What a whirlwind of a summer I just had."
Yeah. I mean, it's been crazy. A lot's been going on. A lot of great opportunities and just great experience for myself. But yeah, I had a couple of days to be with my family, my friends, and just to relax and just, kind of recap of what just happened. Like, we got to recap what just happened, and, seeing the journey has been crazy.
So, Pat, what I love about your journey is that back in the 2023 MLS Super Draft, you got selected by Charlotte in the 12th spot, and you actually started with the Crown Legacy, right? MLS Next Pro team. And at each stop, even in college, you just continued to prove yourself. It's almost, and I had a kind of similar career, so I'm really excited to talk to you about this.
Yeah.
Where I got my opportunity, and it took me a little while to get comfortable. Not too long, 5-6 months to make sure I could prove myself that I could hold my own. And then once I did, I started to take bigger steps. And so for you, Crown Legacy to Charlotte FC, parlay Charlotte FC into getting a sniff and a chance, and then a legitimate chance this past summer to lead the line for the U.S. in the top. And now you're making the move to Derby. It just feels like every single time you get the chance to prove yourself at another level, you continue to do that. What is it about that mentality or that style or I don't even know how to explain it, but how do you take those opportunities and make the most of them?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you always gotta back yourself to just do well in specific situations. And for me, it's been like that my whole life. When you get a chance, you just want to take it and run with it. Sometimes you get frustrated, of course, because if it doesn't go well, you're just like, Pat, it's normal. It's normal.
I know those days.
But for me, it's always been that way. Whenever I see a chance or sniff at a chance, I'm just thinking to myself, Pat, snatch it and run. So that's how it's been for me, and it's been going well so far.
Yeah, I want to stick with this sort of little hiatus you have right now, right? Of course, you're rehabbing and doing all stuff. You don't have the pressures of the training every day, and then because I'm really curious when this happens. Have you sat down and gone through videotape now a little bit more maybe than you would, or thought about, hey, these are the areas I need to be better in hold up play. I need to do this or make a run. Now you have a little bit more time to kind of improve on some of the things that, of course, the physical part, we're always doing that, but the things that you don't get a chance to do on a normal basis.
Yeah, of course. For me, you get to look at how you play and look at the areas you wanna improve on. And it's been, watching training, watching film, watching clip back. It's just looking at, especially myself, I look at things where you watch other players do, or other position, or other people playing your position, and you see what their tendencies are, especially with like the movement off the ball and all these things. And now I'm trying to add all those layers into my game and just, make my game as complete as possible as I can make it. So for me, it's every day I learn. Every day I try to find new ways. And with the staff here, as I'm getting closer, they're always telling me like, we're going to continue to creep you into more video, more just training, into just knowing what we want you to be great at and things that we think you need to get better at.
Yeah, there's some value there, Tones. I think I know where you're going, where you kind of have a soft landing into this opportunity with Derby, because you can kind of take everything in without the pressure of having to perform right away. And I think there's a lot of value in that, and especially in the way that your career's gone, that you can kind of ease your way into this next step. So I'm excited to see you take full advantage of it, and we know that you will. So we're excited about that. I guess we had, I wanted to bring this up. So we had Damian Downs on in our last show a couple of days ago, and he said that he hung out with you and Alex Freeman a ton during the Gold Cup.
Yeah.
And he may or may not have said that he's going to score more goals in the championship this year than you, Pat. I'm just kidding. He didn't actually say that, but do you think you're going to get more goals than Damian Downs this season in the championship, Pat? That's the big question we want answered.
Hey, I mean, for me, I'm trying to score as much goals as possible. I'm trying to be the Golden Boot winner if I can. So that's my goal.
I love that.
Pat, where do you see your game right now, and where you have to improve? Obviously, you got a sniff of what international football looks like over the last year. You're going to get an idea of the championship, right? And we covered here. We're going to see you every single week. We covered at the channel and at the network. But where, from a personal standpoint, are you thinking, okay, and between now and the World Cup, this is where I need to improve?
Yeah. I think, movement off the ball, like being quicker off the ball, and like checking and checking too, like that. Just the separation between myself and defenders is something I want to get way better at. And of course, when the ball is into my feet, holding the ball, turning quick, making plays, like with the efficiency and speed. I think that's something I want to get better at, but I know I will, because, you work on those things and you work on it each day and day out. And I think as long as I just continue being myself, I know it's going to, get better. But those are the things definitely for me. I want to.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to piggyback off of that, because what's interesting about your particular story is that, a month ago, you're getting information from the Charlotte FC coaching staff, or maybe 2 months ago. And then last month, you're getting from Mauricio Pochettino and the U.S. coaching staff. And now you're going into Derby County, and all those asks are probably a little bit different in terms of playing style. And is there any common themes that you're getting from all these coaches that not necessarily need to improve upon, but where they want you to continue to maybe make a strength a super strength?
Yeah, I mean, all of them know, like, I like to, get in behind and running behind. They know that's one of my main strengths. But it's, the build-up play, the combination, link-up, and all those things is where I myself want to get way better at, because I feel like if I can add as much things to my toolbox as possible, it just can make me as complete as possible. I got the frame, I got size, strength, and all these things, and speed. And, I also, being clinical with both feet, you just got to, like, obviously train that and practice that. So that's also areas every player wants to get better at. But for me, where I always want to improve is that, ball into me, play it off, set, get in the box, all these things is where I want to be like how a 9 would operate, and then add all the rest of my things to the game.
What was the biggest thing Mauricio and the group left you with after the World Cup? Because we know they're always leaving people with, sort of homework assignments, if you will.
Yeah. It's just like I said, like you gotta read players, how players play. You gotta read their teammates, understand the relationships, and I think you build that relationship with your teammates. Then you kind of know their tendencies, and then you kind of operate off of them, and they know your tendencies, and they try to help you succeed. It's the same for me, and what they said. It's just I've seen it, I've been around it now to international level. Now it's knowing what I need to do, which is like ball comes into me, hold the ball up, especially when we're under pressure, being the outlet, being a outlet that we can rely on. And that's what I want to be.
So, Pat, we saw it a few times during the Gold Cup, but do you wish you would have spent more time on the field with Damian Downs in a 2-striker system? Let's pretend the cameras aren't on. We know that you have a good relationship with him. you know,
No
would
one's
be nice.
watching.
Nobody's watching. It's just us. Just for just talking. Would you have enjoyed that? Or do you like playing in a 2-striker system?
Yeah. I like playing any system, but 2-striker system, you have someone right next to you can combine with. And Dame is a good player, and he's also like one of my close guys. So we have a relationship off the field, and when you build a relationship on the field, it's just gonna be even better. So obviously it was cool having moments with him, but at the end of the day, you can only control what you can control, and I think as time goes, potentially we could have some partnership at some point.
Just to follow up on that, Tones, I'm gonna go. Is there like a group chat going on? Because there's a lot of American strikers in the championship right now. We got Haji Wright, we got Dame, we got Daryl Dike, Charlie Kellman just making the move up to Charlton. Josh Sargent obviously was team of the season last year in the championship. Is there any communication between all of our American strikers over there?
Not that I know. Maybe they do have a.
Okay, we got to get that figured out. That needs to happen.
Yeah, got to get a strikers. We'll tell you, strikers in the championship. Make it simple so you guys know what it is. Pat, who are some guys that you modeled your game around? Right, obviously a bigger striker. Strength is part of your game. I imagine those types of guys. But who are they?
Yeah, I definitely liked watching like players like Didier Drogba growing up, and like Thierry Henry. Just the way their movement. They could keep the ball, hold the ball, and then going forward, they're fast, they're quick, finish both feet, like they're tricky, like all these things. I've grown up watching players like that, and I've always wanted to be like a player in that realm as well. So obviously, this is who I looked up to.
I got to play against both of those guys, and they're both excellent choices. Just in their fluidity. And what I loved about them in particular was that if their plan A wasn't on, how quickly they could get to plan B or plan C. I mean, they're just so decisive in those areas of the game. So yeah, perfect.
Unpredictable strikers. I like that.
Oh yeah, and they're off the ball movement too. When to run and when to maybe stay. Right, how playing off the back shoulder of a center back, which always pissed me off as a center back. But they were some of the best players in the world for a reason.
Patrick, I will say this: you would have loved to have played against Jimmy. He was my teammate. You would have loved it.
Here we go. All right.
You think so?
Listen,
oh yeah, 100%.
Off the show. I don't have time for this slander right now. Meola. All right, so a couple last questions for you, Pat. We really appreciate your time. So once you get back, and we can't wait to see you on the field here in about a month's time, or in and around a month. We know we're not going to hold you to any hard and fast dates here. What are you like? What are your goals and aims for this particular season? I guess on the club level, because we obviously know that you want to parlay that into making the World Cup roster.
Yeah, of course. For me, I just want to, obviously I want to adjust. I want to adjust the level, adjust to everything. And I want to be a reliable player. I want to be available. I want to be like consistently playing. And of course, when it comes to like my game, I just want to, be that guy that the team relies on. They know they could trust in me as whatever position, whatever, like obviously I'd love to play the 9 and be here straight, like being that guy up front, and making the plays happen, scoring goals, assisting, creating havoc up front, like the way I like to play. And I just want to carry that into obviously the summer.
All right. June 12th, 2026. What will Patrick Agyemang be doing?
Getting ready for the game.
I love that.
I love it, man.
I love it. I love it.
Good for you, man.
All right, Pat. So here's our last question. It's tradition here for our show. What is your best story of a jersey swap? If you have one, or maybe we've had stories where people get turned down as well. Like, who's your best jersey swap?
Yeah, I got one. It's a Busquets.
Whoa!
Yeah.
That's a flex.
So we played. I want to say around like July 7th, 2024. Miami came and played against us in Charlotte, and like, initially I'm thinking to myself like, I want a jersey swap, because before I really wanted Busquets the first time I played against them in the Leagues Cup, but I didn't think about asking them until after. So then as the game's going, I'm playing really good, and then I end up scoring like in the first half. And we were doing a corner kick, and we were talking, and I told, like, before I scored, I told Busquets, I was like, we could swap jerseys. And then he was like, if you score, I'll give you the jersey. And I said, okay.
What was he thinking? Why would he ever say that?
Yeah. And he was like laughing and stuff. And I was like, okay, I got you. And then I think I scored maybe like the 40th minute or something to tie it up 1-1. And like, I think, we come in for second half, and I looked at him and he just like smiled at me, like something relaxed. So the game's going, it's very intense. It's like a close game. And then the 94th minute, I get a red card. So I'm like, I go to the locker room and I'm just like, Pat, what have you done? Like that was, you lost your head or whatever. And then I think about the jersey and I'm like, I ruined it. I was like, I ruined it. So then we play them again in like September. And in my mind, I'm like, Pat, don't do anything stupid. Just get the jersey, call it a day. So I told him again and I was like, so he said, you're supposed to get it last game, but you got a red card. And then we laughed, And then after we're going, like the game's over, and he just said like, oh, like meet in the locker room. And then I've been in the locker room, we swapped jerseys, and then he like dapped me up and said good game, and we kept going. And I was just like, finally, we're good. We're good.
That's a great story. We don't always get good thorough answers like that. We appreciate you, Pat. Why Busquets though? It seemed like you were pretty set on getting his.
Yeah, I just grew up watching him a lot. I like watching Barcelona growing up, and he just played so, like, it seemed as if he was so calm and so simple in the game, but he was so important for the team. And like until you really watched him, you realize how important he was. So for me, it was like it was a no-brainer. I wanted to get that jersey.
I love it, Patrick Agyemang, everybody. We appreciate your time, Big Pat. We wish you the best of luck. Get back from that injury and lead Derby to glory and lead the U.S. to glory. We really appreciate you and everything that you're doing, and continued success in your development to be one of the best nines in the world. Patrick Agyemang, everybody. Absolutely love it. What an absolute beast. And, we'll see if he scores more goals than Damian Downs. I mean, I guess that's the plan, right? That's what he's got to do, Big Tones.
Yeah, I mean that he said it. We didn't have to tell him. I mean, he's there to be the golden boot. I mean, you're a goal scorer, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, what else could the answer be? Score the most goals. That's it. I mean, that's the answer, and that's the only one he should be giving.
Yeah. No, it's great. I actually think that's a really healthy competition too. When you're playing, and you're in the same league with your friends, and you can have that going on. They're going to support you no matter what. It's not like it's not an unfriendly competition. It's a good one, and I love that. Patrick Agyemang, great personality, and we wish him the best, especially as he works through that injury, which you and I both had, Big Tones. So we know that you can come back for that and do very, very, very special things. So we're excited to see what he does. All right, we're going to take our first break and call it what you want. When we come back, we'll continue to talk about the championship a little bit more because we have 10 Americans playing in the league this season. Golasso Network and CBS Sports NFL. We're covering this league, so we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive with just me and Big Tones, because where is Charlie Davies? That is the big question. Nobody knows, but we'll try to solve that as well. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Here we go. The 2025 CBS Sports NFL schedule is here. 18 glorious Sundays.
He's got his receiver, touchdown.
Filled with rematches.
Oh, the play of the year.
And rivalries.
Touchdown, Bengals.
Plus, plenty of superstar showdowns. And an epic matchup between the Chiefs and Cowboys on Thanksgiving. Clear your Sundays beginning September 7th for the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus.
Welcome back to your bi-weekly dose of average goodness. Yes, that was a tough one for me to say. I'm Jimmy Conrad alongside Tony Meola. This is Call It What You Want. And we just had a really fun interview with Patrick Agyemang. And we're going to get in now to the championship. Some notable names, Big Tones, playing in the championship this season. We got Patrick Agyemang, who is going to Derby. Okay, you got George Campbell and Daryl Dike going to be at West Brom. Damian Downs is at Southampton. Josh Sargent currently at Norwich. Will he stay there? Transfer window still open for a while. Aiden Morris at Middlesbrough. Caleb Wiley, curious to see how he does at Watford. And Charlie Kellman is a great story. He is going to be at Charlton. So lots of good storylines here. I don't know where you want to start with any of these one particular players. You want to talk about the league overall, Big Tones? Just to get into it, maybe I should let me set the stage. Here. This is kind of the fun facts you need to know about the championship. So last year you had Burnley, Leeds, and Sunderland that all got promoted. Relegated from the Premier League last year, Ipswich, Leicester City, and Southampton. They're all coming down and obviously trying to all hopefully get right back up. Promoted from League One into the Championship. You had Birmingham City. One of their more famous owners, Tom Brady, is hoping that they can get it right up, take one step into the Premier League. Charlton Athletic, who beat Leyton Orient in the League One playoffs. And so they've got their work cut out for them. And then Wrexham is obviously the big story as well with Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney. So
Rob
really
Mack
good.
now, Jimmy.
Rob Mack, sorry.
Yeah,
sorry.
no more McElhaney, right?
Yeah, Rob Mack. So this is going to be an interesting season for a lot of reasons. You have the Hollywood storylines. You got Tom Brady, you got Ryan Reynolds and Rob Mack. You got all that going on. You got the ones that are dropping down, which they say, you have that parachute payment when you get relegated. You have a little bit more of a influx of cash than most of the other teams. And then for us, we have a lot of Americans participating in this, especially in a very key area of the roster in terms of the number 9 spot. Woo! I don't know where you want to go with this, but I'm going to follow your lead, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, well, let's start maybe with West Brom, right? A team that last year had high aspirations of getting at least into the playoffs. Didn't work out. Daryl Dike there comes back finally. Now has an injury again. George Campbell makes the move from CF Montreal. We saw him in January against Venezuela, right?
Yeah.
In that game. I just got a message this morning for a buddy of mine, oddly enough, that lives in Maine, that writes for West Brom. To figure out that connection, right?
I'm trying.
But he said he texted me a picture of George Campbell today and said GC has made a really promising start at the Albion, expecting very good things. This is a guy with a lot of soccer knowledge that watches like literally every step every player makes. So he's made a good impression. We had him on Morning Footy this week. Seems to be enjoying his time there. Seems to be settling in really, really well. He's going to be an interesting follow because if you think about him, and I don't know what people thought about him with the U.S. men's national team, but if you think about him as a player, his body type, the way he plays, everything fits the championship. He's got the qualities that could make him a good center back in the championship. No doubt things to learn, things to improve on, like all of them do. But I think this is going to be a really, really interesting move to see how he settles in here. And you're obviously the resident center back. I'm just curious what his style of play looks like. And again, you mentioned it. We're going to cover it every week. So we're going to get a real up-close look at this.
Yeah, you know what? There's parts of George Campbell's game that I like. You're right. In terms of the player profile, and he's going to have the size. So that's right. There's 4 areas of development that we look at when we're evaluating players, or I guess just evaluating players in general. You have technical, tactical, physical, and then mental, emotional. From the mental, emotional side, he seems steady. You can see that he's made growth. He's going now into a league and into a situation where he's going to have thicker skin, where mistakes I think are going to be more amplified. And he's made a few mistakes. There were moments where he looked a little uncertain in that U.S. game and when he made his debut in January, where you maybe wanted him to be a little bit more decisive. And I'm not saying with the ball. It's also being decisive in your movements and how you're killing a play, or how you're covering space, or and how you're communicating, your presence on the field. So those are areas where I think he's got plenty of room to grow. And I think this experience will be very good for him in that capacity, taking on more responsibility. The stakes are going to feel a little bit higher than maybe they do in Montreal. And so all that's going to help him on the mental, emotional side. Physically, I think he's going to be able to cope quite well. Tactically, right, every coach is going to be a little bit different. He's getting a first-year coach in Ryan Mason, who probably most notably is known as the one that always fills in for the interim coaches at Spurs. And so this is his first real head coaching experience. So I'm curious how that is going to play into how they want to play and how George Campbell fits into that. And then technically, he's just going to have to get cleaner with his decision-making. I said it with Patrick Agyemang when he was referencing Thierry Henry and Didier Drogba. When your plan A isn't on, how quickly can you find your plan B? And it's not always on the ball carrier, the person with it. It's also how you're being supported. And if you or if your teammate can get in a good position for a plan B option, can you see that quick enough? And if you can't, then you're going to be scrambling a little bit, right? So I want to make sure that we're seeing him not be in any moments where he feels like he's scrambling, which I've seen a little bit of in his game. But ultimately, yeah, I think this is a positive step in his career, and I'm excited to see what he does. But ultimately, I've got high hopes. You know, we've seen some of our ones. Austin Trust is a good example too, who parlayed a good solid run or good solid experience in the championship and went to Celtic, and obviously has proven to be someone they trust there. Pardon the play on words. But yeah, I'm excited. And then Daryl Dike, if we're going to keep it here on West Brom, Daryl Dike needs to stay healthy, and very similar to what Patrick was saying. I assume he's going to say similar things. He wants to be a player that West Brom can trust, and a player that they can rely upon to score big goals when they need it. But he needs to stay healthy to make that happen. It's his talent is undeniable. It's just keeping him on the field. So those are my kind of thoughts overall about West Brom.
And they're going to be a team again. Well, from what I'm reading, I'm obviously doing my studying on West Brom. What I'm seeing and what I'm feeling is that they're in sort of the same position as they were last year.
Yeah,
a team that comes into the season. I'm looking up. Not that the odds mean anything to me, but I'm looking here. They're kind of sat and predicted, tied with a bunch of teams around eighth or ninth, which means you're battling for a playoff spot, right? In the end, and it's a team not that far removed from the Premier League, so they'll be an interesting follow. The other storyline that I think is important for so many reasons is Josh Sargent. You touched on it with Patrick. This is a guy from Team of the Year last year, had an incredible season. Didn't translate right in the national team in his time at the Nations League, but now has been rumored to a whole bunch of places. I mean, he's currently at Norwich. We don't know if that's going to stay that way, if it's going to last, if he's going to go to the Premier League, is he going to go to the Bundesliga? Apparently, he turned down a deal to go to the Bundesliga. So there's all these things swirling around Josh Sargent. How does he follow up last year? And then, Jimmy, as we know, we've spoken about it so many times, there's this tricky part, right? When you're trying to get to the national team, and when you're trying to get to the national team in a World Cup year, when you make a move, like something can go wrong, right? And if like 2 or 3 months goes wrong and you don't get called in September, you don't get called in November or October or November, all of a sudden you're like, man, the team starts getting further and further away from you, and your chances start diminishing. So you got to be really careful with moves at this time of the year. If your concern is making a World Cup team, is Josh Sargent at the level that he played last year? If he continues to do that, is that enough for him to get called into a national team camp? Only Mauricio Pochettino really knows. We're kind of speculating, but he's got to play at that level or better, I think, to get back.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he was in with the Nations League, right, didn't score in those games, and then didn't get called in. He's one of the few that Mauricio Pochettino said didn't get called in to the Gold Cup for footballing reasons. Yeah, that's as big of a red flag as you could get, Big Tones. But we have seen Josh. He's with Norwich right now. He's been captaining them during preseason and in some of their friendlies. So all the signs are healthy that if he stays, he's going to be someone that they trust. And he had 15 goals and 5 assists in the championship last year in 32 games. Really turned it on after he came back from injury at the start of the year and hit another level. So it is kind of surprising that he didn't get called into the Gold Cup. There might be other reasons outside of that, but those are the ones that we heard from Mauricio Pochettino. Norwich are about
Jimmy, when your manager says sporting reasons, for me that means you're not the footballer I'm looking for, right?
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
I know.
It's not as if we thought, there wasn't like a category. Like Mauricio Pochettino said, sporting reasons, right? Like I'm not, and I will say this: with foreign managers all around the world, we see all the time, there could be something lost in translation. But when I personally hear sporting reasons, that means I don't like the way that you're playing, right? Or you're not my type of player. That's how I read it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm looking at their transfer news in terms of who came in and who left. They lost Borja Sainz, which I think is going to be a big loss for them. He was another player that made team of the season, even though they finished 13th last year. He got sold to Porto for $15.5 million. He was such an instrumental part to, I think, allowing Josh Sargent to have the space to finish some of those opportunities, because you had to pay so much attention to him. They lose Jonathan Rowe, who was playing left wing as well, and I know he was on loan to Marseille last year, but another name that could have helped Josh Sargent had he been back in the team. And they did sign one striker, it looks like, Matthias Kvistgarden from Brøndby for $9.5 million. So I'm curious to see how that kind of falls into the equation. But of course, if they think they're going to lose Josh Sargent, they obviously need to get other players in to make sure the quality doesn't drop off too much. Right now, Norwich are currently the 7th best to win the EFL Championship this year in terms of the bookies at plus 1,600. Given how they performed last year and given some of their losses and Sargent leaves, I don't know if that's good money. However, the value of them getting promoted is plus 450. So if you're into splashing a little cash, I don't know if Norwich is going to do it. I feel like the teams that get relegated, like Ipswich, Southampton, and Birmingham City, actually are the top 3 teams to top 3 favorites to win the league and also to get promoted. So yeah, this is going to be a really, really entertaining season, all things considered. So I'm excited to see how it goes. Okay, let's talk a little Coventry and Haji Wright, because they have Frank Lampard. Super Frank Lampard is in charge, and I thought he did a pretty good job with them, all things considered, last year. They're just a little bit short of what they needed. Do you think now, with the proper summer and really understanding who he has and some of the additions that they've made, that they've got a decent chance of maybe getting into the promotion conversation, Big Tones?
Yeah, I mean, that's the idea with Coventry, right? I think when he took over, I don't have it in front of me, I think it was like 16th or 17th in the table last year.
Yeah.
And he went on a really incredible run. And then there were a couple slip up at the end of the season. I think it was the last 5 games, they had 2 wins in that period, but they were in a playoff position, right? And Haji Wright, although that game was, if you remember, the game was just a miserable game. Haji Wright hardly touched the ball, but what a solid season for Haji Wright. Again, another guy that sits sort of on the fringe, was part of the Gold Cup initially and then gets injured and has to go home, and we don't see him play. I think we would have seen a little bit from him in that Gold Cup, which not only would have helped the team, but maybe would have helped his stock. I'm guessing, Jimmy, that Haji Wright is a guy that in our next camp, when is it, September, we're going to see Haji Wright on that list, assuming that he's fully healthy and starting with his team. Has played in so many different ways. Started there as a right-sided player, actually started in youth national teams as a right-sided player, went there, made his name on the left side for a little bit, has played as a number 9 straight up. So he does a couple of things. That versatility may help him in the end, be the deciding factor of him making a World Cup team or not making a World Cup team. But he needs to, again, put his foot on the pedal here a little bit in this season. Yeah,
so in terms of goals per minute, I think that Haji Wright's pretty good. He had 1,900 minutes. You're seeing that on the screen right now, 12 goals. And Josh Sargent had 15 goals in 2,500 minutes. So in terms of production, it's not too bad. And Josh Sargent, as a reminder, got named to the team of the season. So when Haji Wright's healthy, and I think positioned in a way, I like him almost as a second striker. When he's the out-and-out number 9, Big Tones, I don't know if he's as effective. When he can maybe run off the shoulder of somebody else, there just seems to be like he unlocks a little bit more of the opportunities for him. But he has led Coventry in goals the last 2 seasons. He had 12 in all competitions last year, 31 and 81 career appearances for the club overall. Yes, as a reminder, Coventry finished 5th, so they were in the promotion playoff, and they ended up losing to Sunderland. If everybody remembers that second leg where Sunderland scored on the last kick of the game on a corner kick, that was heartbreaking for Coventry, who had plenty of chances to potentially not necessarily win it in leg 2 so much, but in leg 1 at home, I thought they could have maybe given themselves a better cushion and started leaving it pretty tight against Sunderland in leg 2. So hopefully the group learns from that and they can build off of that. But this is a big season for Frank Lampard in particular. We've seen some former England greats, Wayne Rooney, not be really good at managing. So we'll see if Frank Lampard can lead Coventry back to the Premier League, where they haven't been there in quite some time, even though they were one of the original members of the Premier League when it changed into that in 1992-93. All right, who else do we want to talk about? We've got plenty of players. We talked about, okay, let's get into Aiden Morris in Middlesbrough. They had Michael Carrick, who played for Manchester United for a long time, in charge, and they were good. They were there in the mix for a while, and then dropped off. And then Michael Carrick ended up getting sacked. Aiden Morris played quite a bit. When he was healthy, he was playing. I felt like he was a first choice for Michael Carrick. Now he's got a new manager in charge, and so obviously there's going to be a bit of a transition. But he's come around to be a pretty reliable player, even though it doesn't seem like Mauricio Pochettino is going to lean on him anymore, Big Tones.
Yeah, with regards to the national team, I saw a clip of him a day or two ago. He certainly still has ambitions, but it seemed like his mission was trying to win the EFL Championship. They finished right in the middle of the pack, or actually a little bit higher than that. I think 10th last year. Rob Edwards comes in, with Michael Carrick being fired. So what does that look like for Aiden Morris? I don't think it's going to change his status. Remember, he had the injury last year, so missed a significant part of the season, but really has settled into being right in the middle of the field for Middlesbrough. So this is, again, an important season for him in his professional career. I don't know how this, with what we have in the midfield there, I don't know how this season is going to change his sort of trajectory when you're talking about 2026 World Cup. But for Aiden Morris's professional career at the club level, this is a really important season. If they're battling it's a team that, and just again, I'm reading the last couple of days about the championship because I'm covering it this year, and just going through Middlesbrough, there's an expectation that they'll be in the playoffs. Jimmy, you get in the playoff, you can end up in the Premier League, right? We know this. So this will be fun to watch Aiden Morris see his development.
Yeah, they ended up finishing in 10th last year, which I think was a disappointment because they had a pretty good team, and now they got Rob Edwards in charge. He was the one who magically got Luton Town, of all the clubs in England, promoted. Now Luton Town went from the Premier League and got relegated to the Championship, and they got relegated to League One. So they're in a different type of downward spiral. But Rob Edwards, not part of that, and now he's involved with Middlesbrough, and I think he could hopefully sprinkle a little bit of magic here. I agree with you. I think they should, given the talent that they have, and maybe underperformed last year. Hopefully Aiden Morris is a big part of this revival to make sure they can be competitive moving forward. So there's a couple big questions here, and I guess it's all kind of related to our strikers. How many goals should we really expect from these guys? So what are we saying, Big Tones? I mean, what's success? I guess we should
for a total.
What's success? I mean, let's say is it 10 goals in all competitions, like double digits in goals for all of our guys? Is that realistic?
I don't know if you're a forward worth your weight. Like, you don't think about double digits. I know no one's ever going to tell you, hey, I'm going to score X amount of goals. Or some guys might. But, I mean, if you don't and again, this is not injured, being a regular player. Like, don't you think double digits is like your bare minimum if you're a goal scorer?
I'm with you. Yeah.
I would think so. And so in that league, they have 24 teams. So they got 46 games. Yeah, I mean, you're playing 46, one goal every 4 games. The top strikers in the world, right? It's about a goal every other game. Is that and better is where that's their starting point. So 10 goals has to be the bare minimum.
I think what's interesting too, and we didn't bring this up yet, but Damian Downs has been the most expensive signing for Southampton, and then you have Pat, who was on with us, Agyemang, who's also the most expensive signing this summer so far for Derby. There comes a lot of expectation, right? All of a sudden, the fan base is like, okay, we're getting excited about this guy. Now we need to see him perform, and so I feel like that needs to be added into the equation. Because it's not like they were free or they kind of just walked into the situation. You're just hopeful. There's an expectation these guys are going to go out there and perform and help these teams get results. And playing under that type of pressure is going to be good for the guys, of course. I think it's something they can thrive with. But it is an element that might feel a little bit different than anything they felt before in their careers. Because this is serious business, especially when you're in the Championship. And there's the fear of relegation, of course, to League One, but also the chance at promotion to the Premier League. So I'm excited. And there's one other player that we should touch upon because he's got an interesting story. His name's Charlie Kelman. Now, he was born in England, but he spent the majority of his youth in Texas. He's actually a huge FC Dallas fan. He wants to play for FC Dallas. Now, he was on the books at QPR. He's got 23 games overall for QPR in the Championship. Never scored any goals. He's a center forward. But he got loaned out to Leyton Orient And last year, he won the League One Golden Boot. He got them to the playoff final at Wembley. They ended up losing to Charlton Athletic 1-0. Apparently, he impressed so much that Charlton said, hey, we'll buy you off of him from QPR. Now he's going to be with Charlton in the championship. I've been reading a lot about him. I've watched some highlights. He's a fox in the box, and he's really put a lot of time into his game. And that guy seems like he's got that focus that you need to continue to grow and to build. I'm very curious about Charlie Kelman in particular, 23-year-old, played for the U18s and the U20s at the U.S. level, so he's not an unknown quantity for our player pool. But I wonder if he could parlay that into some more success, because he's done it at the League One level. He scored goals there.
Yeah.
Championship, though, he hasn't really taken it with both hands. And I wonder now, with the confidence of being the Golden Boot winner at League One, if he can take that next step.
You hope so. Keep in mind the 27 goals, that was an aberration, because if you go through the 9 years prior in his career, he had 20 goals total. And in 4 of those years as a forward, he didn't score a goal. So
he was saving it all for last season.
He said 24, 25 is my year. That's it. That's where I'm going to go gangbusters here, and I'm going to get my move. So, yeah, look, things change. He had 61 games at the club last season, so 27 goals, 6 assists. What a season he had. Hopefully, for his sake, he can parlay this, as you said, into something in the championship right now.
Yeah, it's another good story, right? Another really good story. And man, I'm excited for this championship, and I'm hopeful that these guys can go out there and play well. And of course, some of them are in the real part of the conversation to make the World Cup roster. And can they parlay good performances with their clubs into a roster spot come June 12th? I love the question you asked, Pat. Big Tones. What are you doing?
I think we got to ask all of them from now, right?
Should,
like all those fringe guys. Like, what's your plans? June 12th. What are you doing? Where are you going to be hanging out? That's it.
Yeah, and he had a great answer. I'm going to be getting ready for the game, and I love that. All right, we're going to take our last break and call what you want. When we come back, more of the good stuff, because that's what we do here. Well, more of the average to good stuff, I should say. Here on Call It What You Want. Don't go anywhere.
The clock never stops. Relive the greatest moments with uninterrupted highlights and more. It's Gareth Bale! Ronaldo! Wonderful goal! On the UEFA Champions League channel. Streaming free.
All right, welcome back in to Call It What You Want. We're a little preview heavy, and the championship again is going to be very exciting. But maybe let's get into the Eredivisie a little bit. That's kicking off here soon as well. PSV, Big Tones, are looking to win their 3rd consecutive title. Ajax, let's be honest, Ajax should have won it last year, but that capitulation was unbelievable where they had it. I feel like they needed Ajax needed 9 points in their last 5 games, and they couldn't get it done. Unbelievable, especially because of how well Ajax had been playing up until that point. But Ajax obviously are going to be in the conversation. Feyenoord, Sparta, Rotterdam could be an outside challenger if we're looking for a bit of a dark horse. But PSV losing Luuk de Jong, right? So he's out. They gave the number 9 shirt to Ricardo Pepi. Serginho Dest just scored the winner in the Dutch Super Cup this past weekend. Malik Tillman getting sold to Bayer Leverkusen. What are your thoughts on the Eredivisie overall? And I don't think PSV is the out-and-out favorite, but obviously it feels like it's a 2-horse race between them and Ajax this season.
Yeah, we did a piece on this morning with the guys, and we talked about all of these things. We had Buckets on, the betting
Buckets.
guy. Yeah, we had Buckets on. He actually picked Feyenoord to win this. Yeah, because Robin Van Persie coming back, and a couple of moves that they made. They brought in Sam Stein from from Twente, and he scored 24 goals, leading scorer. So, but with regards to PSV, you mentioned, I said today, what a great breeding ground it's been for American players over the last couple of years, right? The Tillman move is massive. Richie Ledesma gets his professional career jump-started again, right? It was really floundering and making moves back and forth. He's now in Liga MX. So they move on, but Serginho Dest had 7 games last year. We know the injury. That was a massive goal the other day for him to get back on track, get some confidence. Remember, he left the Gold Cup, and I forget the wording, Jimmy, from Pochettino, but wasn't it like going to work on his personal fitness or something like that? There was something like individual fitness, I think they said. Mm-hmm. And he now is off to a good start. Ricardo Pepi getting back to 100% right now. We think he's going to be the starting center forward. Luke de Jong gone. You said it. They gave him the number 9. Like, everything leads to these two guys having really good years. And I think the conversation is kind of, we were probably a year and a half where Balogun was our guy. Like, he was the guy, even when he wasn't scoring goals overseas or he was injured, like, we were still like, Balogun is our guy. But I think Ricardo Pepi, if you're not completely shifted to Balogun is our guy, there's a conversation about two. And I think that's really, really important, right? Is we're not just talking about one guy.
No, yeah, of course. We want competition in every spot. And it feels like we have more names than ever for the number 9. And now it's going to be up to Ricardo Pepi to regain the form that he had. I mean, I'm still heartbroken that he hurt his knee after scoring against Liverpool, in the Champions League, where you just felt like he was on the real cusp of breaking through and pushing Luke de Jong completely out of the first team for PSV, right? And being the guy. Now that happens, despite the injury, that's happened anyway. And getting the number 9 shirt is a huge, huge responsibility and an honor. So I'm excited to see how Ricardo Pepi does in that role, despite them signing Alassane Plea, who right now is getting the majority of the minutes in the number 9 spot. And Plea's had a good career, but he's a little bit older. He's kind of the new Luke de Jong that Ricardo Pepi has to deal with. But I feel like Ricardo's been in this situation pretty much his whole career. There's always somebody, whether it's with the U.S. or at the club level, that he's got to have to fight. And he I feel like most players do this if you get to the national team level, but when you have a chip on your shoulder, it just feels more evident with Ricardo. It's like he never gets to be the guy. He's always got to fight and prove that he needs to be the guy. And I don't want him to lose that. I don't want him to lose that, but I also want him to kind of cultivate that in a way where that turns into, like, I'm also going to be the guy that you trust game in and game out. And so I'm excited to see him kind of take that step where PSV are heavily reliant on him and what he does and his movement off the ball. If you had to say, hey, who do you think will start in the World Cup for us? I think it'll end up being Ricardo Pepi in that first game. I really do. I think he's going to have more consistency, and if he can stay healthy, of course, I think he'll end up edging out Balogun. But maybe you feel different.
No, I would go that way as well. But what other chip on your shoulder do you need? I got left off a World Cup team where I thought that not only I helped you get to the World Cup, what other, like, when you go to bed at night and when you're thinking about the national team, like that rings in your head all night, right? Like, it's okay, I'm going to do this. And remember last year, I said this morning on the show, like, if you just took Ricardo's numbers, I'm not a huge number guy, but if someone said to you, he played in 28 games, he started 8 of them last year, he scored 17 goals and 3 assists, you're like, it's a pretty good year. And you talk about gaining trust. It didn't matter if his manager put him in as a second striker, as a substitute for Luke de Jong. He scored goals. When he started, he scored goals to the point where his manager actually came out and said, remember, we were talking about it on this show, when he said, you got to be the best player in that position, basically, and we're going to play the best player. He was talking about Ricardo Pepi at that point because he was putting so much pressure on the manager to say, hey, look, I'm getting my job done every game. I got to play. But now he's got to get 100% fit. He's got to get back into form, and he's got to get rolling. And I think he will. He's got that edge about him that I think most of us like.
Okay, so there's one thing that we should bring into the conversation with regard to Ricardo Pepi is that Malik Tillman's gone, who arguably was one of PSV's best players last year. Noah Lang also left. He's a left winger, very dynamic. He went to Napoli for 25 million euros. Then you lost Bakayoko, went to RB Leipzig for 18 million. So you're losing 3 very important components to your attack, like the guys that are going to give the service to Ricardo Pepi on a consistent basis. And now listen, you have Ivan Perisic, who started this last Super Cup, and you have Schouten, you have Veerman, and you had Saibari, who are still pretty much the midfield you had last year, but you're losing kind of the guys that can. No, Perisic is very good, but he's a little bit older, right? So you lose a little bit of that youth that I don't know. I just think it's going to have an impact. So I wonder how much service he's going to get this season as opposed to last season. Maybe these are issues I shouldn't be worried about, Big Tones, but these are the things that keep me up at night. Who's going to get Ricardo Pepi the ball consistently?
Well, they're relying on Van Bommel, the son Ruben,
yes.
right? The son of Mark Van Bommel, who they brought in for like 16 or 17 million from Alkmaar. AZ Alkmaar. So he'd be a guy that they would rely on. Of course, knows the league. He's a young player. Is coming in to make an impression. But it's going to be different. Van Bommel's actually, he's 21 years old. I thought he was a little bit younger. Not that that's old. I thought he was still a teenager, but he's not. So it'll be a different PSV side. It'll be Ricardo Pepi's going to sort of be sitting in a different chair. At his club, where there's an expectation now for him to score goals every game. He's going to be the guy that they're going to depend on. So I like that, though. I like that for him and the pressure.
Okay. Really quick. So there's news. It's being reported that Malik Tillman is this is from Derek Ray that I saw on the social medias. And Derek Ray's got his ear to the ground here in the Bundesliga, but apparently Malik Tillman isn't considered fit enough by Erik ten Hag, and probably not going to be used in maybe the first game for Bayer Leverkusen. And apparently that's disappointing for everybody, obviously. I don't know if you have any comments on that, if you guys talked about it in Morning Footy. What do
you think that means? What do you think that means?
I think that means he's nursing an injury, to be honest. Maybe there's like a slight strain. He played throughout the summer. Maybe a lot of the other guys that are in camp for Bayer Leverkusen did not. And not only did he play, I mean, the guy played extensive minutes because Mauricio Pochettino didn't make too many changes. And there were moments too, remember in the games, I'm like, man, Tillman looks tired. And I thought, oh, he's going to be one of the subs. I remember doing the watch-alongs, and he wasn't one of the subs. So I'm like, man, maybe I'm not seeing the same game because Tillman looks a little leggy out there. But I wonder if that kind of, I don't say overuse, but him playing through the summer makes a difference. And it was a big summer for Tillman. He needed to prove that he could be a guy that we could trust for the coaching staff. So I understand why he did it, and I'm excited he came in and did well. But I wonder if that's impacting the situation right now. Here's the comment. He says, Derek Ray says, Malik Tillman faces a cold start to his Leverkusen career. That feels like clickbait, but okay. The USA international has struggled to get up to full fitness since joining. He won't be ready for the final dress rehearsal versus Chelsea, and so will mean no preseason minutes prior to the DFB Pokal first-round game in Grossepak. It seems like if he's got a first-round game again in the Pokal, they're probably not going to risk him in that one anyway in a dress rehearsal. But I do agree with Derek that him not having any preseason minutes is a bit of a concern, especially if you have a new coach in charge and a bunch of new players that are trying to kind of get Leverkusen competitive against Bayern Munich in particular in the Bundesliga. So, I think there's a little bit to read into there, Big Tones. Yeah,
no doubt. It stinks either way, right? No matter how you read it. Malik Tillman is a guy that just made a massive move, a massive step in his career, sort of the next level for his career. And this kind of stinks. We didn't know about it this morning when we talked about it. So I'm hearing it here for the first time.
Okay, now some other news I want to get into. Apparently, the Columbus Crew have turned down a $3 million offer for Max Arfsten from Middlesbrough. And I think that's pretty cool, to be honest. When I saw that, I was like, yeah, right on, Wilfred Nancy and Columbus Crew. Like that's not the value. We value him higher. We're not going to sell him, Mr. Max Arfsten, for $3 million. I don't know if you guys discussed this, but I appreciate that MLS isn't just selling to sell just because it looks good or whatever, or whatever it may be, whatever the perception of the move might be. But hey, we want to get proper value for Max Arfsten, and I wonder. I'm trying to go to well, they're saying right now. I went on transfermarket.com, and it's saying his market value through transfer market is 2.5. So it seems like Middlesbrough did ask for what his value could be, but I wonder what that breaking point would be for Max Arfsten in terms of value. I wonder if they'd let him go for 5 or 6 million, and if Burrow would be open to making that happen. I love they're going back to the Crew. They got Aidan Morris. Let's go back to the Crew and go get Max Arfsten as well.
Yeah. This is such a struggle, right, for me to sort of digest, but I'm trying to think about it from a club standpoint first, right? You value the player at I don't know, something over 3 million in this case, right? Whatever that number is, it's valued over 3 million. We can agree with it or not agree with it. But then you look at it going, hey, we got to allow Max Arfson to go and get the next level started in his career, right? But you still have a club to run. And I think that's why we've been seeing these sell-on clauses become so big, right? Because, okay, I don't get the 5 million, or I don't know if that's the number. I'm just making it up. I don't get the money that I want now for the player, but maybe I get it down the road for the player. So they're in like this real tug of war, because I read so much about, I can't believe Columbus is going to hold back a player and Wilfred Nancy is going to hold back a player. I'd seen some of those comments last night, and I'm like, are they really holding back the player? It might seem that way, but the club has to run at a sustainable level, right? So you have to put your foot down at some point. Now, we might not agree with the number. And again, I don't know what the because everyone's got a selling number. It doesn't matter who you are. I don't know what the number is. So, yeah, it's kind of a tricky situation that clubs are getting into right now. I tend to be, Jimmy, for a couple of years, going back to Tyler Adams, right? And I know he was in the Red Bull system, so we can look at it a different way. I tend to think like when you're selling guys for 2 and 3 million that are starters on your team, I kind of hope we're past that in the league, right? Unless you're getting some massive back end that makes sense for your club. Like, you're selling a guy for $2 million that's like an important part of your team. Max Arson's an important part of the Columbus Crew. And yeah, you may have had conversations with him. He wants to go to Europe, but the club also has decisions to make. It's not all just about the player. In this, we'd like to think like in a perfect world, okay, player wants to go, we let him go.
Right.
We just let him go, do whatever he wants. And when you're in that position, that's what, if you're Max and that's the move you want to make, then let's help facilitate that move. But the club just can't let guys go for nothing at the end, or what they don't think they deserve.
I just feel like back in maybe MLS 1.0 when we were competing out there, if this kind of move came in, you're like, whoa, okay, and
right,
they'd be entertaining it more. But now there's just so much, it just feels like there's so much more at stake. And yes, if you lose a key piece to Max, what are you going to do to replace him? Are we in a position at this point of the season? There's 10 games left. You got Leagues Cup, and I know that's getting close to being finished, but you get through that, and then you have 10 games remaining, then you're gonna have the playoffs. It's just a pivotal part of that. And if Columbus Crew really have aspirations to be a club that's competing for trophies season in and season out, I don't think it makes a lot of sense. Now, I think they could revisit it in January, right, when the season's over, and now that gives Columbus and Wilfred Nancy an opportunity to be like, okay, if Max is gonna go and this is what he wants, he gets to meet us halfway. We're gonna welcome his wish to go to Middlesbrough over the January transfer window, but it didn't impact our season, and we could actually have a little bit of time to plot him leaving. So if this happens, I could see it happening in January, and not right now, but I do appreciate that that clubs are like, this isn't good for us, and we want to compete, and this would be a bad move. Okay, one last thing, because this is one we didn't touch upon, and as our resident AC Milan fan, I want to get your thoughts on this, because Milan just signed Arden Jashari from Club Brugge for 36 million euros. And he plays us a position that's very similar to Yunus Musa, Big Tones. And so now I'm starting to see some smoke that Yunus Musa might be on the move once again, even though he did play some pretty significant minutes for new coach, old coach, Maxi Allegri. What do you think that means for the future of Yunus Musa? And are you happy with the signing overall? Let's leave the emotional tether to Musa aside, because Jashari is a pretty good player, but it felt like he's 23. It seems like a pretty big value for a player that not a lot of people know about.
Yeah, but if you remember Brugge last year, he was a mainstay right in the middle of the field.
He was very good.
Yeah, and a Swiss international for a little bit. He's had some, but very good. I think it's a big pickup for Milan. But with regards to Yunus Musa, this doesn't look good. The rumors yesterday were that Napoli, right, were back in for Yunus Musa and monitoring the situation. And I don't know, it seems like an odd move to go from Milan to Napoli. Would be great for Musa if you can now play Champions League and you're playing a team that's going to compete for a title. But yeah, it would stink for Musa to leave, but he's got to get minutes. I mean, he's one of those guys, like we got to ask him what he's doing on June 12th next year, like what his plans are, because he kind of fell off the radar here for a little bit, and he's got to get back into the mix.
Yeah, man, I feel like Yunus Musa has gone from, we know he's going to make the roster to we hope he's going to make the roster. I mean, that's crazy distinction and different type of territory where he's gone from maybe being one of the guys that we thought would start, right? He was good in the 2022 World Cup. Very solid. You just thought that would be a springboard to him taking he was, and that would be, he's going to be a mainstay for us for the next 2 World Cups after that. And wow, the conversation has shifted a lot for him in particular, and I'm very curious to see how he works through that. If he stays at Milan, he's going to be fighting for minutes.
Keep in mind, Jimmy, we're talking about Jashari. Sorry, I thought you were done.
No, go ahead.
But remember, Samuel Ricci is there too, man.
Yeah,
and he's going to start. He's going to start in Milan's midfield. And of course, they brought Fofana in last year. Luka Modric is in the middle of the field. Like, that's a crowded area, unless they plan on playing Yunus Musa out wide. And no, he's not a fullback, so I don't want to hear about a fullback. He played there 1 game against Real Madrid because they had no one else to play. He played really well, but that's not his position. And we played a couple games there, but that was the game that sticks out for everybody. He's in a really tough position right now with regards to a lot of people and a lot of really good players in the same positions that he plays.
I mean, they bought Ricci from Torino for 23 million euros. You start spending money on guys like that and Jashari, and then Modric comes in for free. He's got a wealth of experience. He's probably going to be a spot starter, Modric, but when you're looking at your bench and you got Modric or Musa, I don't know. I'd probably go with the guy who's won the ball in the That's just me. I don't know. I just throw that out there with all due respect.
A couple final in the World Cup.
He's won a few things. Yeah, the guy's won a few things. I know he's obviously, 15, 16 years older than Yunus Musa, but still experience matters as well. All right, that's it. I'm calling it a show. That was a fun one. Thank you again to Patrick Agyemang for coming in and filling in for resident number 9, Charlie Davies, to start the show. Appreciate you, Big Tones. A shout out to Phil, who filled in for producer Des today. Absolutely crushed it. Ibis, thank you for all your hard work behind the scenes. For everybody listening and watching, we really appreciate you. You really put the good in our average to good show. We're more average. You guys are more good. And we can't wait to continue to bring you more of the good stuff throughout the European season, leading up to the World Cup and everything else that involves the U.S. men's national team. So thank you for hanging out with us, and we will see you very soon. Have a great weekend. Later.